Cisco says everyone can, sorry, I mispronounced 3%. 3% of companies can come back from a cyber attack. Microsoft is spending $100 billion on a data center, and President Biden is coming in hot regarding AI. All these stories and more on today's episode of MSP Dispatch.
This episode is presented by OIT VoIP. Enhance your client's communication abilities with our VoIP solution, featuring integrated billing, on-demand training, and live US support. Collaborate seamlessly with Microsoft Teams integration and put your entire phone system in your pocket with Mobile X. Improve your offerings and increase profitability with reliable service for 1/10 of the average MSP acquisition cost. To learn more, visit oit.co or dial 844-CALL-OIT.
Good morning and welcome to the April 2nd episode of MSP Dispatch, your source for news, community events, and commentary in the MSP channel. My name is Tony Francisco and I'm joined by my co-host, but the main host, the man, the myth, the legend, the magical, magistical, Ray Orsini. Ray, how are you doing today?
I thought you were talking about somebody else. I'm sorry. You said magical, mystical. I'm either a centaur or you're talking about somebody else. I'm good, my friend. I'm good. How you doing?
I am doing good. I just returned. My son played the cello this weekend in New York City at Carnegie Hall. So I'm kind of coming back off of that high, which is, it was kind of a big deal. So I told him, I said, hey, listen, you're a freshman in high school. Life goes downhills from here. You've hit the top, so you're kind of done. So I'm sorry to say this, but once you play Carnegie Hall, there's nothing else you can actually do. So just manage your expectations.
I mean, it's nice to get to the top when you're at a young age, because then you'd be like, the rest of my life, I'm just done. I can, go.
That's it.
Be a lifeguard somewhere, or do whatever makes your heart happy. I mean, you've accomplished, and now,
go get a paper route or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, you know what? It was big news in the family, but you also know where there's other news articles.
In the news?
In the news right here. Let's get into the news.
In my first top story, Cisco says just 3% of businesses are resilient to cyber attacks. In a story written by Craig Galbraith for Channel Futures. The 2024 Cisco Cybersecurity Readiness Index, which surveyed over 8,000 companies worldwide, showed that only 3% of global organizations are prepared to address modern security risks. Despite escalating cyber threats like ransomware and business email compromise, some firms resist investing in cybersecurity because they believe they won't be targeted. However, 97% of surveyed companies plan to increase security budgets next year, reflecting a shifting mindset. The survey also showed that the stark reality of cyber incidents, with 73% of respondents anticipating disruptions in the next 1 to 2 years, while over half have already experienced incidents costing at least $300,000. Human error and the cybersecurity talent gap worsen company vulnerability, with 85% allowing platform access via personal devices and 46% lacking security personnel. Tony, I just heard most companies don't think they're a target and everybody's going to take care of it next year. Nothing can go wrong with that kind of planning. By the way, next year is in 9 months, considering 8 months, because we just started April. So there's a lot of this year.
I'm so sorry, Ray. I didn't hear you because I was too busy canceling all of my insurance because I don't think I'm going to get into a car accident. I definitely don't think my house is going to burn down or flooding. Why would I have a hurricane here in Florida? I mean, yeah, they happen here, but it's not going to hit me.
No, so that's a 2025 problem. That's next year.
Absolutely. That's my point, is that it won't happen this year. So I'm going to push it. What is wrong? I don't understand people. Like this is a very binary question. This is, are you concerned with a cyber attack? Now, the answer to that should be put on hold. Do you think if a cyber attack happened to pass in your direction and nick you, do you think you will recover? That is a binary answer. It's either a yes or no. Mostly, no. It's pretty binary. If the answer is no, now we go back to, are you concerned with cyber attacks? And the problem is they're being answered in the wrong order. And people tend to stick to they put the jersey on, and then that's what they're looking at. And they don't understand that this is not for the betterment of their company. This emotion, this is not an emotional decision. This is a factual, statistically relevant situation that you need to address, and it really comes into focus when you look at the at risk. Will your company recover from a cyber attack? And the answer is, well, I'm going to answer 100 times, and I'm going to get 3 of those right. So 3%. Anyway, yeah, this makes me crazy. This is not a parenthetical. We'll just kind of throw it on the side and notate it. This is something that should be at the forefront of everyone, because if it's handled correctly now, you're preparing for the hypothetical 2025 hurricane that we're going to experience. You have insurance now. You have the processes and the policies in place now to prevent the onslaught of that unfortunate occurrence happening.
And I love this because most think that they're not going to be a target, but I'm looking at Cobalt Labs security. They say 14% of all cyber attacks are targeted, meaning the other 86% are just spray and pray. Terra Nova security says 17% of attacks are targeted. So if we were in Vegas, you wouldn't play those odds of 17% or 14%. But if you're saying that I'm not a target, you're only accounting for that 17 or 14%. The other 86 or 83% or whatever it happens to be, that you dummy. You're like, I don't know how else to say it without, like, you stupid human. You need to plan it. Like, that's like tantamount to saying I only need AV sometimes. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, that's really funny. You know what? I'm sure there's going to be some MSPs that message us privately, that comment. There's going to be something in the Discord about this. What do your customers say? You have to present this at some point. And do you have customers that say, no, I'm not interested. I don't think it's going to happen. Oh, this is all a fugazi. This is there's nothing about this that's true. And what do you do with these customers? I'm hearing MSPs actually walking away, saying or have them sign something explicitly stating that the MSP is not liable in any way, shape, or form. But is that the route you should go?
I mean, what I'm seeing is this is actually a common occurrence because nobody in the tech industry is making any worthwhile investments into security, into R&D. Nobody's investing in anything like that, right?
We should probably talk about some other news. You're going to make me angry. In my first story from Reuters.com, Microsoft, OpenAI, plans a $100 billion data center project. Microsoft and OpenAI are teaming up for a massive $100 billion, that's US dollars, data center project, which includes launching an AI supercomputer called Stargate in 2028. The rapid adoption of general artificial intelligence technology is fueling a surge in demand for AI data centers, making it a key driver behind this initiative. While Microsoft is expected to finance the project, it would mark a significant leap in cost compared to existing data centers. The proposed US-based supercomputer is part of a series of ambitious projects planned over the next 6 years. Despite the staggering investment, the project highlights the company's commitments to advancing AI capabilities. However, challenges lie ahead, including acquiring pricey AI chips with costs ranging from $30,000 to $40,000 US and total expenses for the project potentially exceeding $115 billion. Ray, before I ask you about the data center, I'm going to say one and only one word, and yes, it is one word: Stargate. So I don't know what you've seen, if you remember the Stargate movies, but it doesn't really go well. There's a lot of cool things in there, but I think there's more bad than good. And so I'm wondering, are we opening up a portal into something that we can't unwind? Once we crack that egg, we can't put it back together. What are your thoughts on this? Because this is a monster of an investment. And will the ramifications be something that we can't unwind? We'll regret at a later time.
I'm going to follow your one word with 2 words: Final Destination. Here's what I don't get. We have multiple generations at this point that know not to drive behind a truck carrying logs on the freeway. We know this. We've learned this. We've taken this away. This is tribal knowledge at this point. The children are they even children that have never seen the movies at this point? My son, my 10-year-old, knows not to drive behind a truck carrying logs on the highway, and he's never seen Final Destination. I don't understand why we haven't taken the same knowledge. And there's only 91 Final Destination movies or something along those lines. I don't understand why we've learned that lesson and we adopt it, and we still haven't learned about Stargate and Skynet and all the other, like, things don't end well. And now we're just like poking the bear. Like, what's next? Are we going to name the next Boston Dynamics thing the T1000? Like, it's just, you get what I'm saying? Like, this is just, we're not learning. And besides the obvious Stargate jokes, everything I see here, I just try to harken back to cryptocurrency. And if we had in 2010, 2011, would we be covering it if Microsoft said they were investing $100 billion in a crypto mining data center? Because we talked about the blockchain having the same amount of impact as AI. And I would argue AI has a more potential impact, has more of a potential impact for our life today. But I'm saying if we look at the stories at the point in time that they were covered, we had the same exact amount of fanfare about blockchain. And that turned into a whole lot of nothing. So I'm looking at the news stories and seeing, are they a little too much too? Or are they not?
So do you think, so you and I can both really grasp the potential between a data center that is very specifically, so for everyone's out there, you've got artificial intelligence, that's AI, artificial general intelligence, AGI, which is different than artificial organic intelligence, which humans are, but that is the equivalent to artificial general intelligence. And then artificial ASI, artificial superintelligence, and that's what we are all concerned about. We're trying to achieve AGI. ASI is something that is the Terminator version of, or you will be assimilated, and a variety of other super intelligence components to just outthink us for very specific reasons. Is this data center going to be purpose built for AGI, evolving to ASI? And more importantly, what happens outside of that? What happens if AGI just doesn't work? Similar to blockchain technology that we talked about for so long. What can it be repurposed for? Is this going to be the single and only data center that will be used by everyone for everything? Is this the new Amazon data center because Microsoft ditched it?
Well, and so like,
I'm just trying to clear the noise on this one. Like,
well, and that's the noise is all I hear here, and I'm glad you're trying to do it, because the noise is all I really hear when it's Microsoft announces they're going to spend a lot of money into a building with multiple ingress and egress routes of power and water and fuel, and they're going to fill it with a bunch of computing. That's also every other data center on the planet. Like Google announces,
but $30,000 chips for their $30,000 chips. They don't have $30,000 chips.
But I guarantee you they have other hardware that's not found in most other data centers. You get what I'm saying? Like
100%.
This is yay! They have purpose-built computers. Why is this not anything more? Why is this not anything more than like the product announcement when they added GPUs or virtual GPUs to Azure that you could put that in your reserved instances?
You remember that?
Why is this not anything any different than that?
So I think we're saying the same thing. So we could talk about this for a while, but I'm really interested to see where this goes. I'm pretty certain it's not going to be done tomorrow, so we got a long time to talk about it. But you know what we also can talk about now? Leadership doing something about AI today. And I hear Biden's coming in hot. It's all you.
And our third top story is something you haven't heard us talk about anything at all. It's AI again. In our third top story, Biden orders every U.S. agency to appoint a chief AI officer. In a story written by Ashley Bellinger for Ars Technica. The White House has announced the first government-wide policy to manage AI risks and benefits, requiring every federal agency to appoint a chief AI officer within 60 days. These officers, ideally chief information officers or similar roles, will oversee all agency AI usage, conduct risk assessments, and ensure compliance with safety standards. Unless granted an extension, they must correct non-compliant AI uses by December 1st. Notably, they will have significant power in determining AI impacts on safety, rights, and ethics. They must prioritize AI development for the public good, tackling challenges such as accessibility of government services and addressing the climate crisis. Chief AI officers will engage with the public, incorporate feedback, and maintain options for opting out of AI-enabled decisions, which can be waived under certain conditions. Tony, so what are you more excited about? The Chief AI Officer for the Department of Transportation, Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles, so we can have our AI-enabled driver's licenses, or are you interested in our Chief of AI for our Department of Agriculture to tell us about our Florida oranges?
I'm more interested in you got 60 days to make all this happen. Slow your roll. You're screaming, please let something go horribly wrong because we're trying to pack everything into an ultra compressed schedule, which because you and I know that AI experts are just falling off the trees now. I mean, it's like Florida.
Oh, for sure.
Florida, when it hits 40 degrees, it's just like iguanas falling everywhere. Everyone's like, right now there's literally people Googling, that doesn't happen. That really does happen.
It does happen.
And we're not talking about iguanas, AI experts. They fall off the trees. It's just everywhere. And so what's going to happen is Biden's going to go pick them up, throw them in there. I got 60 days. So what could possibly go wrong when there needs to be someone implemented within a 60-day period? Well, let me explain to you all who have not had the very, very, we'll call it rich experience of interview process. You are going to find someone within the first 90 days. And and you're lucky if you get in the first 60 days, but in 90 days, that's how long it's going to take you to find the right talent. You're going to figure out within another 120 days if this is possibly not the right person. And then you have an unwind period. So you have a 9-month period where A, nothing was done, B, probable damage was done, and C, you have to rinse and repeat. So there is a very unfortunate process I think they're going to put themselves in, and it is going to be systemic if they're going to do it through every single department. Am I missing something here, Ray? Because that's the first thing that screamed out at me.
So this story has more red flags than a World Cup. It has. You have 60 days to hire somebody for a profession that hasn't been around for 60 months. But this is going to be your chief person that is going to, they're going to prioritize AI development for the public good, tackling challenges such as accessibility of government services and addressing the climate crisis.
We're not even talking about alignment between the different AI experts that are just quickly
Tony,
falling off the trees.
They have until December 1st. They have until December 1st to correct non-compliant AI use. Also, they need to define what is compliant.
What is compliant? What is compliant? You know what was just not compliant in the previous story? Don't use Copilot. Okay, no one's using Copilot. We are compliant. Check the box. By the way, I know I just met you at the local YMCA, and you mentioned AI. I didn't recognize that there was some other weird AI thing, but you're doing good because you got everyone not using Copilot. We're now compliant. Good job.
You know what this screams to me? This screams to me, does the TikTok app connect to the Wi-Fi? Like that's what this screams to me. You know what I mean? Like, a complete fundamental lack of understanding of anything. And these people are going to have to know, they're going to have to know how to access government services, how to make the best use out of them, because beyond being AI experts, they have to be AI experts that are already cognizant in federal government mandates and how they operate. But who is the one human capable of this?
But that's the whole thing, is they not only need to put one human involved at a top to create a framework where every single department needs to work. So we're creating the laws and then allowing them to govern locally based on the requirements and dependencies and data residencies or compliance in those particular departments. But every one of them has to have an AI expert. And I just don't see any of that established. I don't see any of that feasible in the time frame, and I see everything because of that timeline creating additional problems, and I don't know how they're going to unwind that. But you and I could sit there and talk about this, but I just find it fascinating that you and I both just stared at the story saying this is real.
And I'll leave it with probably the very first question that comes to mind on this is, what qualifies as a federal agency? Is this the federal janitorial organization? Is this, you get what I'm saying? There are 483. Yes, I Googled that. There are 483 federal agencies, according to the top article I read. And by that, I mean, I read the title until I threw back to Tony. So please continue whining about this and complaining about this. I mean, discussing this in productive dialogue and bitching about it with me in the comments below or on Discord. Tony, take us out of here. Get us some notables, dude, please.
Well, we got some notables. Let's do it. In my first notable mention from bleepingcomputer.com, a story from Bill Toulis. Cisco warns of password spraying attacks targeting VPN services. Cisco warned of password spraying attacks targeting VPN services, including Remote Access VPN, that's RAV VPN, on Cisco secure firewall devices. The attack also targets other remote access VPN services and seemed to be part of a reconnaissance activity. Cisco's mitigation guide recommends enabling logging, securing default VPN profiles, using TCP shun to block IPs, configuring ACLs, and employing certificate-based authentication for RAV VPN. Security researcher Aaron Martin links this activity to an undocumented botnet called Brutus, which was observed targeting SSL VPN appliances and web apps using Active Directory for authentication. The bot rotates IPs, uses specific usernames, and might indicate a breach or zero-day vulnerability exploitation. In my next notable mention from Dan Gooden from ArsTechnica.com, Backdoor found in widely used Linux utility breaks encrypted SSH connections. Researchers have discovered a backdoor in the widely used XZ utils compression tool, impacting Linux distributions like Red Hat and Debian. This backdoor, added by developer Gia T75, targets SSH authentication, potentially granting unauthorized system access. While versions 5.6.0 and 5.6.1 containing the malicious code have not yet made it to major releases, they have been identified in beta versions like Fedora Rawhide and Debian testing. Fedora 40 also has rolled back to safer XZ utils versions, and the full extent and impact of the backdoor are under investigation. Users are advised to verify their system's integrity.
In my first notable mention, AT&T confirms data breach and resets millions of customer passcodes. In an article written by Wes Davis for The Verge. AT&T confirms a data breach affecting over 7.6 million current and 65 million former customers. The leaked data, dating back to 2019 or earlier, includes personal data like names, emails, addresses, phone numbers, and social security numbers, but not financial information or call history. Security passcodes for active customers have been reset, and the company is notifying affected customers via email or letter and offering fraud alerts. AT&T is currently working with cybersecurity experts to investigate further. In my second notable mention, Google hints that Apple is set to support RCS by this fall, in a story written by Ivan Mehta for TechCrunch. On the new Google Messages page, Google briefly revealed that Apple will introduce Rich Communication Services, or RCS, support for iPhones by this fall. This disclosure, found by 9to5 Google, hints at the possibility of Apple including RCS support in its upcoming iOS 18 release. And although the page no longer displays this information, the source code confirms its presence. Apple announced last November that it would adopt RCS, promising improved messaging experiences across the platforms. The move follows Google's continued push for RCS integration to improve messaging between Android and iOS. In our resource of the week, what's coming to Microsoft 365 in April 2024? in an article written by T-365 on their website. Explore the latest updates in Microsoft 365, such as displaying meeting details on the pre-join screen in Microsoft Teams, quick attachment of recent files, and the ability to hide general channels. Get insights into new tools like the Queues app for call handling and Copilot for security. Stay ahead with what's new on Microsoft 365 to streamline your organization's productivity, and checking out the website linked in the description below.
There are plenty of amazing upcoming events taking place across the community, so let's take a look at what's happening this week. Starting today and running through Friday, April 5th, an in-person event, IT Sales and Marketing Bootcamp in Nashville, Tennessee. And also today, later at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, CyberWise Employees, How to Stay Safe Online. And then tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, April Demo Day presented by SaaS Alerts. And coming from the MSP Media Network this week, we have tomorrow at 10 a.m. a new episode of AI Roundup. And on Friday, that's the 5th at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, MSP Community Live will be back for episode 31. And at the end of the day at 5 p.m. on Friday, 38 at 38, we'll have a brand new episode with special guest Lucas Anderson.
So how'd you like today's show? If you like it, please hit that thumbs up button. If you didn't, go ahead and hit it an awkward number of times so you get the feeling that you actually hated us, but we at least get the something good for us. It's good. It helps everyone. Just trust me on this one. And if you want to hear more, go ahead and hit that subscribe button on YouTube or your favorite podcatcher. Did you know that we have a Discord where we post these stories all week long? You can propose your own stories and even vote on which ones we will cover. Celebrities. As our friend Rich Banky says, make sure you tell a friend. Also, to be sure to follow us on social media at MSP Media TV. Do you have any questions? Email us, news@mspmedia.tv for answers on the next episode, or even leave us a voicemail at 833-MSP-Network. Ray is dialing. He's already calling. Ray, you can't call and leave us a message. All we do, we're sitting there answering these messages, and it's just you saying, oh my gosh, that was such a good show. Or, oh my gosh, that was a horrible. Why did you cover that article? It made absolutely no sense. Why didn't you answer
You don't leave
questions?
yourself messages saying like how good you were in the episode? Like, you know how nice it is to hear that voicemail back and say, Ray, you did a great job in the episode today. If I don't leave those messages, who will? You know?
Am I the only one? I text myself a reminder, and then I put my phone down, and I go beep. I go, oh, I got a text. So, Ray, land this plane.
I think we crashed a long time ago. No, great time as always, Tony. Thanks for your wonderful insight and all the other shenanigans you bring to the table. And it's nice having at least one thought leader on this call, discussing what's going on. So thanks for that. And I still don't know if the first story was a story or not. I still don't get it. So if you have thoughts, please let us know in the comments. Take me out of my misery. But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care of yourselves and each other.
Stay safe, everyone.
This has been a broadcast of the MSP Media Network.
All these stories and more on today's episode of the MSP Dispatch. I just said the MSP. I'm reading. I'll repeat that one more time.
Tony, I think your voice packets were hacked because you sound like you're unmuted. It finally happened. The Koreans got to our voice packets, so we can't put out the news.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So at the same time, I muted because my son was knocking on the door. Okay. So, and you wouldn't like Tony when he's angry. Like, I don't turn green or anything. I just turn ambitiously red and pink. Like I'm.
If I could get Phil to do like the snip of. You would like me when I'm angry, and then handsome Squidward. Like that's what I need. I need Tony evolving into handsome Squidward.
Okay, let's get to the next story. Ready?